Hey, happy Sunday, folks. Hope you're enjoying what's left of your vacation. And I just want to quickly check in about what we're going to be doing this week as we start reading Born a Crime. Um, I've put on Classroom a worksheet that we're going to be using to begin to study how Noah sets up his argument for the book, and in a series of techniques, rhetorical and literary techniques. Basically, the tools he uses to make his argument more convincing. And I've listed just four of them here. The first is what I call bold type epigraphs, which are basically epigraphs, these sort of broad thematic statements about the country. And he's got them written, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there they are, in bolder type at the beginning of each chapter. And they kind of suggest, as I say here, larger themes. They sort of frame what's going to happen in the chapter in a much more broad way that looks at the whole country, the society, some of the history, the religious practices, the tribal business, that will then give us a broader picture of what's going to be happening in the chapter. So anyway, the second thing is his tone, which is a mix of humor and seriousness, what we would call dark humor. He tells very funny stories that are often pretty disturbing, or that are, at the very least, can be buzzing along nicely, and suddenly something shockingly sort of violent will happen, which I mentioned down below. So it's so you find yourself sort of laughing at really troubling things, and what's the purpose of that? So we're going to think about that. The third piece he uses is his own perspective, which is, it kind of shifts as the book goes on, but it begins with this wonderful sort of naive perspective of a child narrator. Think about, Huckleberry Finn or somebody. We tend to be very trusting of kids' viewpoints because they, as I say here, they lack guile. They're not kids, aren't playing you. They're just telling it as it is. We tend to believe that about that sort of childhood perspective. So it's really helpful. He's just sort of sees things and we sort of go, oh, wow, okay, that's how it was. Or later, he adopts more of this sort of, I say, the ironic detached perspective. Of some, sort of as he gets to be a teenager, he's more laid back, studying. He sort of bounces around the society because of his mixed race status. He's able to fit in and basically sometimes not fit in to all sorts of groups. So he gets a real cross section look at the society, and as he gets older, he kind of pulls this kind of wise guy, detached, ironic, guy buying and selling CDs and computer parts and all that, sort of a classic wise guy perspective, and it works really well. So his perspective, and then finally what he does throughout the book, which is these scenes of shocking, either racism or violence, things that to our eyes are, you're really taken aback. In the first chapter, you'll note as he's driving along with his mother from these church services, suddenly he sees like a person, like with a tire put around their arms, like over their body, and then lit on fire. And it just kind of comes out of it. A much happier chapter that's about going to churches and things like that. So Noah does this a lot, and it can be very disarming and shocking when it happens. And it's legitimate. That's sort of how the world was for him. So anyhow, what we're going to be doing in class is looking at, for each chapter 1 and 2, you're going to write, and we're going to write a paragraph or so about what you learned from the epigraph, what themes emerge from it, and how does it relate to the story. So for each of those, and then find an example in the chapter 1 and chapter 2 for each of the other 3 techniques listed above. So you're going to write a little bit about what you think the epigraph means, and then you're going to find examples of, dark humor, his powerful perspective as a child, and then some of this more disarming, shocking descriptions of something happening. So, all right, I'll leave you to that. Enjoy your reading, and enjoy the rest of your break, and I will see you tomorrow or Tuesday. Okay, bye-bye.